And once again, the sound to remind you, say, hey, gently but attentively, come and listen to the program. I'm Stan Houston. The program is indeed Interesting Ideas, and we'd like to challenge you just a bit today as you start the week, and as we are in a week of deep and personal and profound, even world difficulties going on. So please stay tuned. The program, Interesting Ideas, it begins right now. And again, a lighter touch, even though this is going to be a serious program, we are delightfully wanting to hear from you. We are collecting these sounders. And by the way, one of the programs we're going to do this week will be on the importance of the sounder and the importance of you getting your sound signature, a kind of audio branding that might be a part for you and your business. In fact, if you are one of those persons who is talented in that respect, and perhaps you would like to design an electronic or maybe a real instrumental sounder for us that we could use from time to time and submit it to us, we'd be glad to give you that shout out and that recognition. So if you want to design a sounder, please do just that. The question today is a bit challenging, and I just heard about it recently, and it seemingly came appropriately in the midst of the challenges we are going through. And the question that was asked was this: when did you first realize that your life had passed you by? Can I say that again? When did you first realize that perhaps life had passed you by? Well, not only was that a bit of a shocking question, but the story relates a woman who answered it directly. And she immediately proclaimed that at the age of 58, when she realized what had happened and what she had done and what had been done to her, that indeed, here she was, at the age of 58, and her life had passed her by. Well, I think those of us who would like to say our life mattered, that we did mostly the right things, that we had achieved and maybe even accomplished many of the good things and made a difference in the world, that's a challenging question. What does it mean to say your life has passed you by? Here you are. You've lived your life, and this is the only life on planet Earth you're going to get. And it has passed you by. Well, can I just reflect a few thoughts on that in this short but I hope important program? It was interesting to note that just today that there was a picture in the news about a Ukrainian couple that had not gotten married, but they had lived together casually for 20 years as partners. And now they were both in the military. And all of a sudden they decided that perhaps they ought to do something serious. And so it was a deeply moving picture of her and him in their camouflage outfits, carrying their weapons, going forward. And there was the priest in camouflage, but wearing a vested hood, and he married them. And they said, well, we really didn't take all this very seriously, but now we realized this is serious. And they thought, this is important. We need to do one of those old-fashioned things. We need to get married and have people there, and we solemnly affirm our vows to one another, and we even do so perhaps even to the God of the universe. That's important before we get into this challenging life and work. Here's the lesson, I think, that some of us are beginning to get. Most of us go into life and we just kind of deal with the day. We're going to be doing a video program in which we're going to take the very famous, you've heard the book, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is, by the way, well over 80 years old and still a bestseller. And we're going to try and update it into some modern perspectives and perhaps even add a bit of a spiritual twist to it. And we're going to do this by writing the book with you helping me. We're going to do it because we're going to perform the book on a video program and then take the video program and use the modern technology to help us write a book on, as we would say, how to make good friends and make a difference in your world. How to make good friends and make a difference in your world. So that you won't ever have to shudder at the question that says, hey, when did you first realize that your life has passed you by? Have you been thinking about that? Well, let's just take a brief time out for the program, and we'll get back to you. Once again, my name is Stan Houston, and the program is brought to you by What It Takes Radio. And we have a variety of divisions that will help you become, hey, you may not have your life pass you by because what you did is you got involved in sharing your wisdom, your insight, and your truth, maybe even some of God's wisdom that has come to you, and you are sharing it with others. You are beginning to make sure that at this stage in your life, you're not just as it supposedly was said of Da Vinci, by Da Vinci, he said, unfortunately, most people live their lives and they were mere passageways for food. They were mere passageways for food. We all have a deep desire to make a difference. We have a deep God-made desire to be creative. That's vital. That's important. And what has happened in this COVID crisis is that in our fear and in our anxiety and in our desire to do something about this, we forgot that we are made for bigger things and more important things than just not getting sick. We've realized that. So may I encourage you, first of all, to do what I have said for many of you should do right now. That this is the Lenten season, and whether you celebrate it or not, this will be good for you. Take this time. Perhaps you want to just simply call it the springtime, the regeneration time, the rebirth time. It truly is what those of us who follow truly believe is the passion and resurrection time. It's when death was finally defeated and life had the possibility of being meaningful and powerful and purposeful and fruitful and productive, and that we were part of a bigger story than just our own. That we made a difference in our world, but perhaps even in the world, and certainly in the other worlds of other people. That's what we want to do. So I'm going to say to you, at this time, what do you think you should still do to say, this is what life is and what makes it successful? What would lead you to say, in effect, as St. Francis of Assisi is reported to have said, I did what I was supposed to do. I did what I was supposed to do. You did it. And your life did not pass you by. Okay, there we are. That's our thoughts for today. But I wanted you to be confronted with it, as I just recently confronted some of the men of my age, and a number of them are kind of they're a bit adrift. They've made a good career. They've made good money. In fact, that's part of the problem for them, is they don't have to work to achieve anything anymore. They supposedly have enough of whatever they think they need. But you know what is happening to them is, in some respects, they're suffering from the anxiety of knowing that, you know what, maybe life is passing me by. Maybe there is something that I'm still supposed to do. There's an encore I'm still supposed to perform. And I'm just kind of sitting here waiting for time to pass. And in the meantime, my life is passing before me. I think I can help you. If you want to reach out to me, we can talk about how we can help make sure that your life does not pass you by. And if you believe it has, and there's a good chance it has in many respects, what can you now do about it? Perhaps, as we say, to save the song that's within you. That wonderful line, which is such a challenging line, most men and women die with their music still in them. The book not written, the deed not done, the risk not taken, the regrets about some of the things of the past that because you were afraid, because you were distracted, because you let good things pass by. I'm Stan Houston. The program is Interesting Ideas, and I've got one more positive thought, though, for you. By the way, I oftentimes tell people, whether you like it or not, and that'll challenge you, that if you want to learn something about radio, whether you like it or not, you have to study Rush Limbaugh, because he was the master of knowing how to do radio. And part of the problem was that it was not a problem to him. He understood it, was that a lot of people didn't like it. Didn't like him, didn't like his ideas. Whether they fully understood him or not, that was part of the problem. Now here's my problem. In effect, I want to make sure that even though we may challenge you, I want to have fun. I am teaching everybody who wants to be on the radio to be a bit of a playful performer. Rush Limbaugh one time said, I think, very succinctly, and probably, and I've come to understand the human condition quite truthfully, he said this: the reason they hate me is because I'm having so much fun. Could that be true of a lot of us? We have so let our life pass by that we resent people who are really enjoying life and having fun. Could that have come to pass in our own little life? Remember, you were made to be part of a bigger story, so let's start living it. I'm Stan. I can help you. StanHouston@gmail.com. StanHouston@gmail.com. And I want you to raise your hand right now and say, Stan, I've got some interesting stories to tell, interesting ideas to share, and I'd like to share them with you, and maybe we could ask you to audition to be on the Interesting Ideas program that's just for you. Best and blessings. Be brave in these challenging times, and bye for now.